welcome back. Thank you for dropping by again. The other day I shared how I made this magnetic needle book with one of my own digital kits, and I thought I would show you that the other booklet that was also on the same page as this one, I've also made up into a little booklet as well, and I've added a couple of sewing charms on there, and again use the hair elastic. And what I've done on the inside is I've just added a piece of felt that is sat underneath this piece of seam binding, and just added some pins to it. So I've now got my pins and my needles. And again, same sort of thing, just used one of the hair elastics to act as the closure, and this one could be either this way or that way, but I love this one because it looks very much like it's a piece of very vintage, old and used piece of leather. Now, the reason why I'm back today is I did think to my little self, as you do, I thought, well, I may as well come back and show you one of the ideas that I've had with the bigger books that were in the kits that I talked about. So there's the vintage collection and the classical collection, which are the bigger book covers. There's also a couple of the small mini journal book covers as well, but today I want to talk to you about the bigger ones, which, as I say, is the classical and the vintage. And in the description box down below there is a link to my Etsy store to both of those products. Now then, I have this box, and inside the box I've placed one of the book covers that I've made. So I printed it off, and I did exactly the same as I did with the little needle book. Was I layered it up with several layers of paper and card to actually make the cover itself, and then I've added a seam binder closure with a little charm, key charm on the seam binding. And if we just slide this off, you can open it up, and inside there is two little thin boxes, but this is full of pieces of ephemera. So I'm going to show you how I went about making this, and how I'm going to add a couple of signatures into the book as well. So let's get started. So this book cover was from the vintage book covers, and this one that I'm going to be working with is from the classical book covers. Now, what I've already done is I printed the front cover out onto 120 GSM paper, my nice quality paper, and I've glued it onto apparently a piece of mucky white card. But I've glued it to a really nice, firm, stiff piece of card, about a 300 GSM. I also printed out the inside cover piece, and I printed it out onto the 120 GSM paper so that I can line the inside cover with this piece. And I've also printed out two pieces on 160 GSM cardstock as well to make my pockets, but we'll come to those in a moment. So the first thing that I need to do is to glue this to the inside cover, and I'm just going to use my collal glue, and I'm going to make sure that it's right up nice and close to the edge, all the way around the four sides, bearing in mind that if I put too much on, it's going to squidge out the sides, which that's fine because I can peel it away, and I'd rather do that than not have enough on. And then cover that one side with glue, spin it round, do the other side with glue, and then do down that centre spine, making sure that I cross over the area where I've already pre-scored where the spine area is. And then I'm going to get this piece of paper and line it up with this top edge up here, that top corner down this side and across the top. And with the collal glue, I can manoeuvre it so that I can see that it's in the right place. And I'm going to leave it flat for that to dry. Oh, it's moved. Come on, back you go. And any excess paper that's overhanging the edge here, I can trim that off. And just gently run over it with my bone folder. And as I say, some of this glue is going to squidge out because I did put quite a lot on. So I want to make sure that it's well adhered. And then I'm going to put that to one side to dry, and then as I say, I'll trim off all these extra edges. So when it comes to the inside, if I remove some of these pieces of ephemera here and embellishments, you can see that what I've done is I've made like a box pocket here on the back, and in actual fact I've used my Tim Holtz papers here, and I've done the same on this side, made a box pocket, and then on this right hand side I just added a simple pocket here, and I did a triangular pocket with another little pocket on top of that. So there's 3 pockets on this side and 2 pockets on that. So I'm going to cut my box pockets from these 2 pieces of cardstock that I've printed on. So if you get a pen and paper handy, you can write down the measurements. So I've made some notes here so that if you want to take a screenshot or write down these measurements, then you can do. So we're going to cut 2 pockets, and this is the instructions for 1 pocket. So we're going to cut a piece that's 5.5 inches wide and 6.25 inches high, and I know that my diagram's not proportional to the measurements, but anyway, it gives you the idea. So we're going to cut those first, and then we're going to score. So I want this to be 5.5 inches wide and 6.25 inches high. And we want 2 of those. So that's my 2 pieces now cut out, and now I need to score them. So again, just so as you can see, we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 4 3/4 inch and 5 inch. Okay, so 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 4 3/4, and 5. And then we're going to spin it round and do 5.5 inches and 5 3/4 inches. So 5.5 and 5 3/4. So I don't know whether you can see those score lines there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then across the bottom we've got 1, 2 score lines down there. Now these corner squares here we're going to cut off completely. So I'll hold it up so that you can see what it is that I'm doing. So the whole of this section here I'm going to cut out. Okay, so that's the first corner out, and then I'm going to do the same on this side. So that we end up with a piece that looks like that. So I'm now going to burnish all of these folds. So the other thing that I then want to do is I want to taper each of these corners here, but I only want to taper just the 1/2 inch section, not the whole section there. So from there to there, and from there to there. Okay, so I've only gone to this first line here and not to this second line, and I'm going to do that on the other two sides. So once I've done these two pockets and got them all to the same stage, I'll come back. I've trimmed away all the excess paper from my cover so that that is now fully lined, and I'm just folding over the last of my pockets. So just going to burnish those score lines. And you can see better now actually what I meant by you only taper just to that first score line and not to the second one. And please remember as well, the measurements that I've given you are for these book covers. If you're doing a different type of book cover altogether, then you may need to alter the size of the pockets. Okay, so what happens now is when we put it in position, excuse me, if we push these two in, we've now got this side panel here and a side panel here and these two flaps on the back. When we fold the one up from the bottom, again, we end up with a panel on the bottom here, and then as you can see, this flat part on the back lies on top of these two edges here. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on there to hold it in place when I fold that over, making sure that it's all nice and square and meets up at the corners. We're now going to stick those to our inside covers. By adding glue, and careful with the amount of glue that you put on this because you don't want it squidging out at the sides. So you want plenty of glue on, but not so much that it's just going to all squidgy out. And then we can sit that along the bottom edge, and I'm going to do mine sort of central, and just be careful about applying pressure to get those papers to contact because you don't want to collapse your box. And you can go inside as well with your bone folder and just push down those sides. And we'll do the same on the other side. So flip it over. Oh, that corner didn't stick very well, look. Not to worry. And then I'm going to put that one down centrally and along that bottom edge on this inside cover. At this point you can decide whether you want to use up your scrap pieces that you've got left over and add any additional pockets. I think because my background's blue and the pocket is blue, I'm going to go off and go and find a different paper so that I can add some extra little pockets on here, and then I'll be back. I've got this piece of leftover paper from when I made the needle book the other day, so I'm going to use that as my contrast pockets on the inside of here. So all I'm going to do to create the corner one is to just fold over this edge by sort of about 1/4 to 1/2 inch ish. I'm a very ish kind of girl. Open that back up and then do the same across the bottom. Okay, so I've got those two fold lines now in place, and then I'm just going to measure what sort of height I want it to be. So I don't want it to fit the full height of the pocket there. So I'm going to snip it about 3/4 of the way up the pocket and just cut one straight line. And then from this bottom edge down here, I want to do it to there's the edge of the pocket there, and I want to do it just slightly further in. And I'm going to eyeball it, but I'm going to eyeball it round to that corner up there. You could draw yourself a line if you so wished, and then that will glue on there. So I'll taper off these corners. Taper off that one, and that one there. And again they overlap here, so let's put a little bit of glue down there if the glue will come to the nib. There we go. So you have to talk to it viciously. And then I'm just going to place glue on those flaps there. And I'll down that side bit there. And look, see, it doesn't want to stick again, look. It's been stubborn. And then I can place that pocket. I've got a pocket on top of a pocket. So we love a pocket. Old joke. Probably best not to ask. And then again with this leftover piece, just going to put a straight line there. Is that straight? Ish. Let's straighten that up a bit. And I'm going to fold it into the centre. And then fold that back so that it's overlapping. Move that up so that you can see. So that it opens like that. And then we'll make a fold across the bottom, just a small one. going to taper that front, what will be the front part there. Okay, so I've tapered it there, and then I'm going to cut that excess off on that side and that side, so that I end up with that kind of shape. And then those will fold over. I'll put glue on that edge, glue on this edge, and fold the two over on top of each other, and then glue across that bottom flap. Fold that over. You can see that I didn't cut that particularly straight, look. And then just across the top there. And punch a semicircle in the top. And if I put glue around the three sides, then it means that I can tuck something behind the pocket as well as putting something inside of the pocket. And that one can sit just there. With this last little piece that's left, I'm going to make a pocket out of that too. So let's do it to there. In fact, no, I'll tell you what, let's have a bit of blue on top of this one, because then it'll contrast again. Okay, so I want that edge folding over. Bottom edge folding over. And then I can determine how long I want that pocket to be. Let's say about there. Because then I can fold that edge over. And of course you can use your scalpel. I'm just being a lazy Mary doing it this way. Open it back out. Taper into that corner. Taper into that corner. Taper that top corner. Taper into the corner. Into the corner, whoops, and that top corner. Fold that bottom edge up and then put glue around the three sides. I'll stick that little pocket on top of that pocket. So now I've got two box pockets, a corner pocket, a little tiny square pocket, and another pocket on the corner here. As you can see, I've filled my pockets up with some pieces of ephemera, some that I've made, some that the person who's going to receive this can decorate themselves. I've also on this one added some lace across the top of the pockets there and there, and a little piece there too. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of this 0.8mm clear elastic. So it's just a real clear elastic, and this is if you have a look on my Amazon link, which is in the description box down below, it's in one of the sections there. I forgot to put that piece in. I need to make some more of these. Let's pop you in there. And I'm just going to wrap just one piece of elastic round. And tie it with a knot. Of course, you can do all the poking of holes in if you want, and putting the eyelets in. But for this purpose, I just need to wrap it round. And then I've done a single knot, and now I'm doing a double knot. And this elastic is really quite strong. So, and I'm going to pull on that. So as you can see, look, I'm really pulling on that. It's really stretching. And then I can trim away some of the excess. Now it can have a tendency sometimes to unravel that knot itself. So you could actually put a little bit of glossy accents glue on it if you wanted to try and hold the knot in place. The next thing that I did was I just got some sheets of tea dyed paper and I folded them in half, and then I slipped them underneath the elastic so that they've got some pages that they can utilise as well, and then close that up. So you can see, look, it ends up being really quite bulky with those pages in as well. And I also decorated the front cover. So this image here was again from one of my digital kits, and I've put some wax on and melted the wax. This was one of the cabinet cards, again another one of my digital kits, and I've just like ripped into the edges a little bit and ripped a corner off just to make it look sort of more vintage and original. So I've stuck those on the front, and then I've got a piece of seam binding which I dyed, and I'm just going to slip that on. Hang on, that's upside down. Let me get it the right way around. That's it, that way. That little heart wants to keep popping out the side. Stay in there. Come on, stay in there. Thank you. Why am I saying thank you to a little paper heart? Okay. And there we go. So I'll just add a little ball pin and a charm on here on the end, just the same as I did with this one as well. Just added a little ball pin and a charm on it, and that's 2 of them now done. But yeah, I think it looks quite respectful. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed watching the video. I hope that you've sort of learnt lots of things, and that it's maybe inspired you to go off and go and make your own. But these are ideal for racks or gifts, and yeah, I've enjoyed making those. Thanks for joining me again today, and there's some pictures and the instruction sheet at the end, so please hover about for a little bit longer, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye for now. Bye.